Welcome to the Euro 2020 betting show from the Action Network.
Welcome back to the Action Network's Euro 2020 soccer betting preview show. I'm Michael Leboff, the soccer editor here at Action Network, and I'm joined by two of my finest colleagues, BJ Cunningham of beautiful Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Anthony Dabbundo hailing from Philadelphia. And I'm just very thrilled that these two guys let me come back because my Turkey bets obviously went down the toilet. I was very high on Turkey coming into the tournament. It looks like their tournament's going to last 3 games. I apologize to anyone watching for that. But that brings us to Friday. We're basically into the business end of the group stage. Friday morning, 9 a.m. kickoff between two teams coming off encouraging performances in their first round of matches. Sweden held Spain to a white knuckle 0-0 draw. Slovakia upset Poland. Sweden minus 125 on the open in this match. I'm assuming that they're going to close as an odds-on favorite. Slovakia, big underdogs. The tie going to be around 250, I'm assuming. I mean, yes, Slovakia won, but I don't think you could really take much from that match. I don't think they looked impressive. It was much more of a Poland loss than a Slovakia win. BJ, are you laying it with Sweden here? I think I am.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to lay it with Sweden here. The Slovakia was just completely underwhelming. I mean, they only created 0.49 expected goals for the match. They were up a man for the final 30 minutes, and they still allowed Poland to basically just do whatever they wanted. I have a hard time backing them in this one, and I don't really think that they're going to be able to create much because I think they're going to play very defensive to try to get that point and basically seal their fate in the knockout stage. And I think this will also be a situation where Sweden's just going to have them pinned in for the whole match because it was very clear what Sweden's plan was against Spain. They were just going to defend and try and play on the counter and let Ishak go and do his thing up top. Now, Kuvalevski's going to be back for Sweden in this one, which is a huge plus for them. He's a fantastic winger for Juventus. And I think, honestly, Sweden is basically just going to control this game. They're going to have Slovakia pinned in for most of the match. And I think Slovakia is just going to defend like hell and just hope that they can get a 0-0 draw. And I just don't see how Slovakia is really going to create anything. Sweden's offense is still really good. They averaged over 2 expected goals per match during Euro qualifying. So, I agree. I'm totally on the Swedes here. I'd play their money line anything up to minus 135.
Yeah, and it might be one of the situations where people who look, we all want to bet the Euros 9 a.m. match. You see Slovakia's coming off a win that maybe the price, even though it's high, is a little inflated because they are coming off a win. Anthony, are you as down on the Slovaks as BJ and myself?
Yeah, I'm also high on Sweden. I was high on them coming into this tournament, and I'm still high on them now. They clawed out that result. Sweden +1 may have been one of the luckier wins of the tournament, but that's not to say they didn't create anything. I mean, they had 2 great scoring opportunities. The best one of the match. Everybody wanted to talk about Spain's bad finishing, but Sweden had the best chance of the match. Isak's pass to Marcus Berg, who missed from point-blank range into an empty net. And then Isak almost scored again when he hit the ball was clear off the line into the post. So Sweden is dangerous. Kulusevski, huge addition. 0.44 expected goals and expected assists per 90 for Juventus in Serie A last year. So he was pretty good. He's really young. He's going to be able to get on the ball a lot in this game, I think. And also Emil Forsberg should be able to get on the ball a lot more and get more involved than he was against Spain. It's just such a different matchup. For me, Slovakia, only 3 passes into the penalty area against Poland. They played up a man. And if you look at the line, Poland was minus 130-ish for that game against Slovakia. I think Sweden's a much better side than Poland. So you're seeing a difference in the price there. So for me, it was more, Poland giving up a goal off a set piece and a goal off an own goal, whereas otherwise Slovakia didn't really create much. So I think this is going to be a Sweden win. I think 1-0 or 2-0 should be enough to get it done and get the Swedes into the knockout stage.
Sweden 70-1 at the moment to win the whole tournament. Maybe a little interesting if you want to have a dart throw here in the middle of the group stage. That brings us to the noon kickoff. Croatia, Czech Republic coming off very different results in their first match. Croatia looked kind of abject against England, didn't really get anything going. They looked tired. It looked like they had already played a whole tournament in that match. Or maybe that's just a credit to the way England played. They're still favorites, pretty lukewarm favorites here against Czech Republics, who are opening around plus 250. The Czechs looked pretty good against Scotland. They were a little lucky, but I thought they, for a team that was playing on the road, they did a good job of sitting back and picking their moments. Obviously, one of those moments happened to be Patrick Schick's wonder goal. So even if you draw a line through that goal and kind of treat it as an outlier, I still thought like the game plan was good enough for them to win in a road game. Like, as we know, just because you lose or you lose or win expected goals doesn't mean you're going to win or lose the match. And I thought the Czechs kind of, played out a good strategy against Scotland and deserve a little bit more credit than maybe they're being given. I think they're worth a bet at this number against Croatia. Just from what we saw, the Croatian team's old. We kind of understand what they're trying to do. Luka Modric trying to pull the strings in the midfield. If you can shut that down, it's really hard for this team to connect anything from the back to the forwards. I think the Czechs will be full of energy. I think anything like north of plus 230 is worth a bet on the Czechs. I think that they're in with a shot of maybe making some noise in the tournament. We all, at least BJ and I liked long shot bets on them to win the tournament. Those probably won't win, but at least, they're giving some juice here. I think the Czech Republic definitely worth a punt here. BJ, what about you?
Don't give up on our long shot just yet, Michael. I mean, it's still alive. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely 1000% agree with you, because if anybody's listened to our preview part of these shows, you know how much me and Michael love the Czechs, and I love them here in this match as well. Like you said, Croatia they looked slow, honestly, and they didn't really get anything going forward. They only created 0.54 expected goals for the match. Their midfield basically, they started to kind of control the game towards the end of the first half, but then, Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips were the best two players on the field for England, and they completely shut down anything Czech or the Croatians were trying to go forward to do an attack. And I think it's going to be kind of similar here, because England actually played out of a 4-2-3-1, which is the exact formation the Czech Republic plays out of. And the Czech Republic's best player is a defensive midfielder in Thomas Sojcek, who can really control this game. So, I don't think you're going to see the Czechs really come out like, we're to play incredibly defensive. I think they're going to have a similar game plan to like they had against Scotland. What was interesting about, they did lose the expected goals battle, but I went and looked. Scotland's 4 biggest chances came after Czech Republic went up 2-0. So it might have just been a little bit of complacency on their part. So I don't really put too much stock into that. And yeah, I there's just not really a lot of creativity and pace going forward with Croatia. Kramaric and Rebic don't look like they're really capable of, penetrating back lines and creating a lot of chances themselves. So yeah, I'm totally with you. I'm going to take the Czechs here. Their spread of plus half a goal, and I'd play anything up to minus 140.
Anthony, are you going to throw some cold water on our Czech party?
I thought that Scotland had a lot of success down the wings in this game. I think they really, Andy Robertson especially, completed 4 crosses into the penalty area and 4 passes into the penalty area. He was quite good. So for me, I'm concerned about what Croatia may do to them down the wings too. Rebic and Perisic are probably their 2 best attacking players. They're both wingers. England did a great job of shutting them down, and a lot of that came from the midfield press and whatnot. But I don't think the Czech Republic is going to set up the same way. I think this is going to be a lot of Croatia having the ball, Croatia trying to poke and prod its way through. I don't have enough faith in Croatia's strike force. I don't think there's enough shots in that lineup for me to get behind them on the money line. So it's a pass for me, but it's definitely a lean towards Croatia. I really didn't think that the Czech Republic's back line looked solid or consistent for large parts of that game whenever Scotland was able to sustain pressure. So I'm not as nearly as a believer in as the Czech Republic as you guys are, but I think that they may be able to squeak out a draw here. So I'm going to pass on Croatia. But if Czech Republic goes up, situation where I may look to live bet Croatia as well.
Well, that brings us to the 3 p.m. kickoff, the headliner, maybe the headliner of the entire group stage, at least in terms of just the atmosphere that we're going to expect. It's England versus Scotland. England, massive favorites, opened around minus 300. Scotland, you might be able to get 10-1 on them just to win this match, which, I mean, to me is just going to be appealing. I'm probably going to play that just for the ride. But obviously, this is a mismatch on paper. It's going to be all anyone talks about over the pond for the next 24 hours or so. BJ, is it coming home again on Friday afternoon?
The win, yes, it'll be coming home. I don't know about the trophy, actually. But yeah, I think this is a complete mismatch here. I think when you look from an England perspective, I'd say their match against Croatia, it wasn't the greatest match, but it also wasn't the worst. And there's a lot of positives they can take from that match. And like we said before with the Czech Republic-Croatia game, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice were 2 of the biggest question marks for England coming into this game, and they turned out to be the best 2 players on the field. And if those two guys are playing really well and stopping the counterattack and, feeding the forwards like Calvin Phillips did to Raheem Sterling on the goal, that makes them very dangerous. And from a Scotland perspective, it was basically just Andy Robertson, the one who was creating most of their chances in that match down the wing, which is concerning since he's playing from a wingback position. And I honestly, this England attack has so much talent. Southgate, I don't know if he's going to rotate, if he's going to bring in, Saka or Grealish or whoever, but they averaged 3.26 expected goals per match during Euro and World Cup qualifying. And I honestly don't know how a Scotland backline of Jack Hedrie, Grant Hanley, and Liam Cooper is going to stop this England attack. So this match is going to be played in London too. So England will have the home field advantage. I'm sure there'll be a ton of, Scottish fans in Wembley as well. But I think this is England in a rout. So I'm going to take their spread of -1.5 goals at -110 or better.
I do wonder if we're going to see Scotland make some lineup changes too. Obviously, Che Adams didn't start against the Czechs, which was a little strange considering he's probably their best player going forward. Hopefully, Kieran Tierney's all right. I mean, it's hard to envision a path to success for Scotland here, but it's just one game of soccer. We know that variance can run wild and this kind of stuff, which is what I'm leaning into on a 10-1 bet. I think I would play it, 850 or better maybe. Anthony, can you kind of conjure up a path to success for Scotland here, or is it just kind of England or nothing?
Yeah, I'm not getting behind Scotland. For me, don't have enough faith, like BJ mentioned, in their back line. There's one interesting thing that I kind of like here, and if you want to have some fun with this game, Lyndon Dykes to score +525. He was pretty effective in the air, winning some aerial duels. He had the most aerial duel attempts in the first round of the group stage matches in that game against the Czech Republic. I think this England back line probably isn't going to have Harry Maguire. They're not quite as good in the air. Croatia wasn't able to take advantage of it, but Scotland might be able to, going up against most likely Tyrone Mings up there for center back for England. So I think there's a chance that happens. John Stones, more of a ball playing guy, can be questionable in the air sometimes. So for me, I think if you want to have some fun with a goal scorer prop, Dykes to score, but otherwise I'm probably going to pass on this one and would play small on Dykes.
Lyndon Dykes, one of the great names in this game. He's 13-1 to be the first goal scorer. I kind of like Andy Robertson, 40-1 to be first goal scorer, maybe off a set piece outside the box. There you have it. 3 games for Friday. Best of luck to each one of you, and we'll see if it's still coming home.
For all the updated information on the Euros, go to theactionnetwork.com and download the Action Network app and enjoy the games.